So the other thing that we've just gotten done in most of the vineyards is what we call suckering, and that's removing all our unwanted shoots. And you can see a long time ago, probably a week and a half ago, we were in here, and that's what all this brown, it's just all the things that we don't want as far as competition. Because I'm looking for a balanced vine.
Show us an example of it?
Well, that's a good question, if I could show you an example. What I'm talking about is, and I'll pull some leaves here, is when we go to prune.
Shoots versus leaves, that's why I'm asking.
I know, but I have to open up. So when we go to prune back in February, March, our intention is a 2-bud spur. Okay, so this cane grows up here 3 to 4 feet high. We're going to cut this off here and cut this back to here for another 2-bud shoot. Okay, so the suckering part is these buds, before these shoots emerge, each one of these bud shields, if you could find, let me pick up this here real quick. If this was a shoot from here, under each one of these bud shields right here, there are actually 3 viable buds that can emerge in the growing season. What our goal is to have 1 shoot per bud, not 2, not 3. Because again, I'm looking for balance. We need good balance, we need good structure within our wood, and we need good placement, nice spacing between our positions. Now this was left intentionally, and I'm not going to remove it, and that's because we can probably want to lower this or whatever the suckering crew did. But I'm just pulling leaves so we can see what's going on. So generally each shoot that comes up in the spring will have 2 cluster formations. So this again is our pre-bloom clusters. We are just starting bloom. We should have been into full bloom by May 15th of any year on this particular vineyard. So you can see we're almost at the end of May, and we're just seeing not even 1%. Very, very little bloom. Can you see that, Rob? But that's okay. Anyway, so
More so from the cold weather or the rain?
it's mainly from the cold weather. The rain, the vines are still growing even despite the rain. But the fact is the weather has been abnormally cold for the month of May. Actually for the month of April too, and the month of May. We just had frost over this past weekend.
We had hail on Sunday.
Yeah, so it's been unusual weather patterns. What does that mean long term? Hopefully we'll have catch up here in the next couple of months before harvest. Typically we would be picking in here about the middle of August, getting started on some of the early picking and finishing up towards the end of August. I don't even think at this rate we'll see grapes picked in August. It's just, again, farming is a crapshoot, I'm sorry, but that's what it is. So, again, we look for balance. We look for not more than 2 clusters per shoot in any vineyard. And these clusters are small today, but by the time they're full grown, they'll be probably that big for the Sauvignon Blanc. And the berries will be at least the size of a good-sized pea anyway, and so you can see that maybe this cluster has 100 to 125 potential flowers on here. Well, hopefully we'll have 100 to 125 berries that make it to maturity. And generally it depends on the winemaking team and the winemakers to what the maturity levels they are looking for, the flavors, the brown seeds, and all the components to what they call maturity. We'll pick it. Some winemakers allow us to pick in here 21.5, 22 bricks sugar, and they make a wine of their style. Some of the winemakers that buy fruit from here hold out a little bit later and then make it a little bit different style. I have currently 9 different wineries buying fruit out of this 10 acres of Sauvignon Blanc, and they all have their own specific style, and I very rarely have 2 wineries pick on the same day out of here. Now they might be today and 2 days from now or type of thing, but generally we never have too many wineries pick on the same day. The biggest producer...
Is it the winemakers who decide what day to pick on?
Absolutely. I leave it all up to the winemakers to make the decisions, because again, they're the ones that are receiving that product, and they want to have it for their program. One winery that buys about 40 tons out of here, they pick it over a course of about a week and a half because they have very small fermentators, and they have a very small press, so they only want 6 tons a day. So, that's fine. So they can take it in little increments, and it works out fine for all of us. Every variety has its own leaf pattern. In other words, if I walked into any vineyard, I could pretty much identify the variety by the leaf. In other words, Sauvignon Blanc has a very distinctive leaf. The first row is Semillon over here on the fence line. You can see it's got a different growth habit, a little bit more oranginess in the shoot growth. And then we have some Malbec at the end in a completely different form of leaf. So every variety has its marker, and it's the leaf pattern, the color, the shoots. I mean, you can get really down to identifying varieties just without even having to see the actual fruit on